Okay.
Hello, can you hear me? Yep. So thanks to Just Want and team and Shiny for getting us all back together. I think I was here last in almost 4 years ago in 2018, but a lot has changed then. The industry has grown bigger, more people have entered. I think we went from being 250 people, million people on the internet to now almost 750, 800, depending who you speak to. But what I thought I would do is, while we talk a lot about digital, actually, the interesting thing right now is that we can actually talk about how digital and physical kind of merges together and how one can inform the other. And, I thought I'd give some examples of what we've been doing at Jio in terms of thinking about how do you understand the consumer, how do you take advantage of that, and then how do you work to give them the offers that they want. Okay? And I thought, being brave, I'd use myself as an example because it's kind of interesting. We spend a lot of time thinking about advertising and brands, and we also think about, the ins and outs and all the features. But actually what ends up happening is most people really don't care about our brands. Most people really don't care about the products as long as it fits a need. And, I really love reading the Marketunist because it really puts it together. Even a brand loyalist doesn't really understand what we're thinking about. And if you think about, how we understand the consumer, I think it's really important you understand what they're doing digitally and physically. And you kind of have to ask yourself, I'd probably say about 4 questions. And this is me, so let's just take it for it. Who am I? I have 3 kids. I live in Bombay. 2 of them are going to go to college, hopefully sometime soon, so fingers crossed. One's doing his 10th board exams. Just started as we speak about 20 minutes ago. So I'm kind of worried about that. Interests and passions, Arsenal, big fan. I've had season tickets. They beat Chelsea and Manchester United, so I'm very thrilled. Vignesh, thank you. Okay. I decided in lockdown to pick up playing the piano again. Okay. After almost 30 years, when I was a 12-year-old and kind of gave it up and just said, no, that's it. I said, this is the time to pick up my interest. If anyone knows me, I'm a comic nerd, all the way through and through. And you'll see me pretending to be the Hulk. Working at Disney was always an interesting experience for me. Professionally, I don't wear a tie anymore, but it's pretty interesting from that perspective. I look after JioAds. I do some investments in startups. I also teach part-time at various schools and various universities. And that's just a perspective. But if you actually go back and look at what I purchase as well, it becomes super interesting. And I just picked up the last 4 or 5 purchases. So I bought a piano composition book because I'm now learning how to sing, Beatles and all that stuff. My car EMI purchase went out. Okay, I bought PS5 games. I managed to grab a hold of one, and that's one benefit, I suppose, of working for Jio. And then I ordered some Asian fusion food from Zomato. All of a sudden, you have a much richer picture than what I think is demographics. And demographics are important, but that's an interesting place to kind of go. And if you can start pulling it all together, I think everyone's thought about this. But how do you make it work? And I just thought I'd share some examples. And the question becomes, how do we join the dots? It's not a big surprise to say that people spend a lot of the time on their phones. Most of you, I think, are on the phones right now, listening to me as we speak, hopefully saying some nice things and tagging. Is it AdTech in? Yes. Okay. I'm on message, Kavya. Okay. But the fact is that we do see users for 7 hours a day. 1 in 2 mobile internet users on 4G is powered by Jio. We are exclusively a 4G network, and that's an important statement to understand. And the whole idea of what we started putting together about a year ago was, what is it that we can kind of do? And I think ultimately what we like to do is help publishers, marketers, advertisers, agencies join the dots and create value that way. And if you think about it, Jio connects 450 million plus users to the internet. We have 420, 430 million on mobile phones. We are India's largest broadband network. We also have partnerships in Den and Hathway. That's a fairly interesting set of insights we're going to put together. We also happen to be a fairly large player in the entertainment and engagement space. Everything from Jio TV, Jio Savan, Network 18, all the way down to Root, Viacom, our efforts and partnerships with Money Control and Viacom 18. And thanks to our publisher partnerships team led by Sandeep, we are now taking all the insights we have off network with a set of publishers and publisher partners who are working with us across OTT, news, gaming, and commerce. And fundamentally, we are also India's largest retailer. Okay. We sold hundreds and thousands of crores of GMV every year, both online and offline. And it's surprising to people that we think, I know Jio is thought of as a very product-facing brand, and we love that. But we have brands like, Hamleys, we have Ritu Kumar, Ajio, Manish Malhotra, Reliance Jewels, Trends, everywhere. 7-Eleven. So the view that we have of the world is colored by these 3 big pillars. They connect with us, we connect with the internet, they engage with us, and they buy things from us, both offline and online. And I think the power of an organization, the power of being physical, can't be minimized. We are all here because physical connections are important. We are all here because decisions happen, we all connect to each other. Okay. Demographics are important, and whichever audience you think about, I think, it's fair to say that we're able to reach 100 million people, whether it's in urban India, rural India, males, above 44, 18 to 24, whatever it is, that's also there. And that's great. Okay. But it's not enough. Okay. Passions are also important. I think cricket is something that is a massive passion point for all of India. And we're going through the IPL right now, and I've spent more of my fair share of time looking at it. We have Jio TV with nearly 400 million downloads across India. Okay, we are streaming the BCCI rights right now, and we're looking at more and more interesting things to talk about. We have cricket, we have an esports generation, we have entertainment, we have gaming, and hopefully if we launch 5G later on this year, it'll be another level of insights, another level of speed. We'll go from being hundreds of megabytes per second to gigabytes per second of speed. And that level of experience will expand rapidly. And think about it from a perspective, and here are just 2 interesting examples of people that we kind of figured out. Same person, 2 different people, same demographic, same location, same pin code, but they're very different people. One pays for online education classes, one buys stocks, one is a loyal purchaser of Maggie, buys 11 packets, and visits the same store every month, and listens on Jio Savan to old Bollywood songs. Same person, pretty much the same area, but subscribes to multiple OTTs and watches family drama, has a monthly EMI, buys from fashion e-commerce regularly, doesn't go to physical stores that much, but listens to English EDM. That's a very rich picture that you wouldn't get just by age, demo, and geo-targeting. Okay. And that I think is going to be super interesting as how you do this, and this is great, everyone can do this. The question is how you do this at scale. And this is the insights I think we've been able to pull together at a certain scale. So we know deterministically 13.47 million people in the last 30, 40 days have ordered fast food. We know that 56.64 million people have bought online. There are 12.7 million people who bought mutual funds, Almost 112 million people have digital wallets, 90 million people have listened to music, and 62 million of us are parents who are now wondering how their kids are doing and what's going on in school, and now we're thanking God that they've gone back to school and not, sitting next to me while I'm forcing them to sit on their laptop. And that's interesting at scale. So imagine the kind of insights and power that you do at scale. Now, this is a certain set of kind of insights we're able to deliver. Okay? Look at the professional view of the consumer. On the one hand, I'm a person, age, whatever it is. Now, we have an app, we call it Gmat for Partners. We started off at the beginning of this year with 550,000 partners. We're now having about 1 million, so adding 100, 150,000 every month. It's an e-commerce app. It's an e-commerce app that anyone uses, but instead of using it to order 1 carton of milk, you order as a merchant to order 2 crates. All of a sudden, right now, we are now generating more than $1 billion of GMV every year on this. And it's doubling and tripling size every year. So now we know who you are. Well, now we know that you're a merchant, and you're super relevant for all the FMCG partners we have out there, because you are an influence in your local community, and this is across India. The value proposition of Gmat partners is very interesting. You can be anywhere across India, and as long as you order before 2 o'clock, we will deliver to you by the end of the day. Actual usage happens between 5 a.m. and about 9 a.m. when our Kirana partners come in, check their stock, and decide to order what they want for the full day or for the next day. Okay. That's when you start joining the dots together. You're not just an age and demo. You're also a combination of who you study, what you order, what your business role is. Okay. Here's another interesting example. We started thinking about what we could do with our stores. Okay. This is actually L'Oreal's real data from a set of stores that we picked randomly in Delhi. And this talks about their share of product sales in each store in the same rough area as a function of hair care, makeup, skin care, hair color. And it varies. Hair care for L'Oreal goes from 6% or 4% up to 22%, 33% in some cases. In some cases, hair color, L'Oreal seems to be doing very well there, north of 50%, but sometimes they get to 91%. What does that mean? How do you start pulling these things together? And we know who's buying a specific category, we know who's buying a specific brand. Then it becomes super interesting as you start joining the dots. Okay. Then we started thinking about, well, what else can we do? You buy Coke, what else do you buy? How many people who buy the energy and soft drinks category? How many people buy water also buy Coke SKU? Okay. Again, this is samplistic data, so just take it for what it's worth. And people who buy Coke also are 67% likely to buy in the snacks and namkeen section. But only 22% of them buy breakfast cereals. It doesn't make sense, right? People start thinking about, how you start putting all these things together, and it becomes, you think of a certain mindset, then you realize actually, and I think, Coke does this very well with biryani and Coke, there's a huge overlap between, our eating and our thinking with anything else. And you start thinking about beauty and hygiene and correlations and basket size. The insights become just super powerful and super interesting at that level. And then I started saying to myself, well, how deep can we go? And, for all the people who don't eat cheese, my apologies, but this is it. This is 200-gram blocks of cheese. Is it sliced? Is it cubed? Is it blocked? Or is it spread? This is the market share for multiple brands in a certain store over a certain period of time. What does it mean? What is it interesting? Who's buying it? How does it scale up? Who's your competition? Okay. It's not just about, and India will still remain a physical and digital economy way ahead of everybody else. Okay. You will research, 4 or 5 years it was called research online, buy offline. It's now both. And what that means is that you're now able to think in a really interesting way about both the cohort, the impact, the output, and the insight all the way. Demographics are important, interests are important, purchases become super important. But putting it all together, that's the cool thing that we can get to. Okay? Here's an example of what we did. We worked with a client of ours who was launching a new SKU, advertised on our e-commerce app. We reached 3 lakh users, right? That's not a huge amount, 20 million impressions. But we were able to figure out that nearly 1 in 8 merchants who clicked the banner ordered within 24 hours. Nearly 1 in 6 merchants who ordered within 3 days. And nearly 1 in 2 merchants were lapsed orders. Then I'm starting to look at somebody differently. I'm starting to look at them as a person in the right context, in the right content, looking to order. And 1 in 5 merchants had ordered from were brand new to the brand completely. And we've started looking at this. We have hundreds of engineers, thousands of engineers working on this. And you start thinking about what else you can do. Can you do interventions in store? We're launching out a retail OOH network. Okay. Can you reach across our grocery network? Can you reach users across our digital electronic store network and ultimately other networks that start rolling them out? And how do you tie that in to a user at the end? And how do you bring it up while maintaining privacy across all the things? And that too, all powered by the JioAds platform. You can sit in the back and manage it centrally with real-time reporting. Most of these are in pilot stages right now. We have thousands of screens across our OH network, but that's the ambition we're thinking about. Okay. We started thinking about physical and digital and passions together. We've actually started feeding some e-commerce apps into content, and our AI is actually recognizing people real time and actually recommending based on the things you've watched. So if I'm watching Deepika Padukone, I can actually go and match the dress that she's wearing in real time and show the ad while the person has recently watched the movie or in the middle of the movie. Then you start putting everything together. That is the interesting thing that we're doing. And that's why I'm a firm believer in both physical and digital all the way. Thank you for your time. I think that's my 15 minutes. I'm happy to answer any questions, or I'm happy to give you your time back.
Thank you very much, Gulshan. Can we have a huge round of applause, ladies and gentlemen? And I do see that we do have 2 minutes left. So maybe if there are any questions, you can please raise your hands. We'll have the mics passed on really quick in case you have any questions. So we do have one question over here, Gulshan. So we'll probably take your question, ma'am. Hello.
Hi, Gulshan. I was particularly excited to look at Prism and what it's expected to do. I just wondered how the content guys would take it in terms of intrusive ads being placed while the content is being played. How are you handling that?
Yeah, I think that's probably an example. I don't think we're actually going to put the ad over the movie. I think the whole idea right now is there's something about the content you watch that inspires you. Okay, it can be around, the format can be displayed, but I mean, I remember watching one of my movies, like favorite movies, Jerry Maguire, and I literally went and tracked down the sunglasses.
Absolutely, which is why it caught my attention. There's so much, when you finish watching the movie, you certainly are thinking, okay, I want that,
Yes.
But while the content's playing, how are you planning to kind of make it least intrusive? Is that a plan?
Yeah, I think the thing I'm only saying right now is that I don't think we're planning to show it on top of the movie, but I think we're planning to look at it within the breaks, around the movie, in terms of the profile. It's pretty interesting from what you can do from that perspective. So I'm not sure if it's going to be that intrusive, but the whole idea we've always talked about is the right ad to the right user in the right format at the right time.
Great idea.
Yeah.
All right. So we'll just take one last question.
Hi, Piyush.
Hi, Gulshan. Yeah.
How are you doing?
Good.
Piyush and I live in the same building for like a year. We meet 2,000 miles away.
Yeah. For the walks, it is a good place. So, Gulshan, I saw the shoppable ad format in one of your slides. So, how big it is going to become as an opportunity in years to come?
Honestly, I'm not sure. I'll be very frank. Okay. You and I both did a lot of work on sports together. Most people don't stop what they're doing to in the middle of a game to buy something. But around and fairly close by, people are open to it, I suspect. We've done a lot of examples. I think good content can inspire commerce, okay, in a certain way, that especially in areas that you really care about. And you think of different examples like Netflix inspiring chess players. Okay, I suspect that most people didn't stop in the middle of that movie to buy chess sets, but afterwards they were like, you know what, let me do that. So I'm a big believer in it because we've seen multiple examples where it just happens. The question becomes, how do you do it at scale? And how do you, I won't say control, but how do you actually inspire that? Does that make sense?
Yeah, got it. So not just the ad format, digital commerce will become bigger, like overall.
Yeah, I mean, digital commerce also at the same point in time, commerce to your store, that kind of serendipity would happen much faster and much better, I think. Okay.
Got it.
All right, so on that note, we call it a wrap to this fabulous session. Thank you so much again, Gulshan. Thank you very much for sharing your thoughts, some very interesting insights.